Hi, I'm John Luciano, and I'm Blended Kaplan's guest today on What Do You Want to Do?
Welcome to What Do You Want to Do, the show that will hopefully help you figure out what you want to do in life or reconnect you to what you love doing. Each show has a guest who is doing what they want to do, whether it's in their career or in addition to their regular job. Most importantly, we want to help you realize that no matter your age, you too can do what you want to do if you have the will to do it. Now here's your host, Leonard Kaplan.
You mentioned before about sense memory, about the songs bringing back feelings, and it's so true. It's true with, making you happy. It's also true about making you sad. It's just amazing the power of music and the power of memory when it's attached to music. There's a really weird example I'm going to give you. The song, the opening theme to WKRP in Cincinnati. And I used to watch that show in 79 and 80, well, in early 81 with my father. My father passed away in March of 81.
Oh,
And when I hear the beginning of that theme, I'm transported back. This is both a good and a horrible feeling at the same time,
yeah,
because it's good. It starts off bad, I'll be honest with you. When I
yeah,
hear that the guy first say, "Baby, did you ever wonder?" I
yeah,
feel something right here because I missed my dad so much,
yeah.
But then as I listen further, if I let myself, I'm sitting right there. I used to lay on the floor at his feet and just watch with him, and it's just amazing. It never goes away. It doesn't fade, you know. But
Yeah. Oh, that's so true. It's so true.
yeah, and the
Elicit
tr-
all kinds of emotions.
the train thing too. I hear the train whistles, and I'm a little kid again in Vermont, where my grandparents were from, my mother's parents. We were
Oh,
really close to the train station, and when I heard that whistle,
oh,
not real
yeah,
close, but close enough, that I'm there again.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'm a nerd enough that I can detect that the train whistles that we hear here in Massachusetts are of a higher decibel than the ones up in northern Vermont. I don't know if that's because we're in a different era and they make them different now, or do they make the whistles a different pitch in different locations? I don't know. Does that sound plausible,
Yeah,
John?
oh, I wouldn't doubt that in the least. I wouldn't
Yeah.
doubt that in the least. Yeah. No, that's definite. Oh, no, that's so true. It's funny you mentioned that WKRP in Cincinnati intro
Yeah.
because my first show back on the air, the very first song I'm playing is the theme song to Welcome Back, Kotter.
Oh, yes.
And I've got the television version, so I don't mean it to play the full song, but just the minute or so that we heard as the show's open. So especially on the Cotter, it's welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. And for my second hour of the show, I'm starting off that hour with the theme song as well, and it's WKRP in Cincinnati. So I thought they were both appropriate for my return to the airwaves.
I
So
love that. I love that.
I
Yeah.
like to do stuff like that. I that's one of the types of feedback I get from listeners is that they like my flow. I don't think I do anything consciously. Or I do it consciously. That's not accurate, but I don't think I'm any more adept at it than anybody else. But they think I put these together in such a way that I create a flow, and that makes the show go along a lot smoother and more interesting. I don't know. I do know that there are certain things I like to do. Like, are you familiar with Jackie Wilson?
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, he had the hit "High." Your love has lifted me higher and
Oh,
higher.
yeah.
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 Well, Van Morrison did a song in the early '70s called Jackie Wilson Said. Oh my God, I'm having a blank moment here.
That's okay. It's okay.
I can't remember the rest of the title. But anyway, oh God.
You put yourself on the spot, and I'm proud to say I didn't put you on the spot. I tried to avoid it.
It'll come to me tonight sometime. But at any rate, in the opening line to that song, it's because Jackie Wilson said is in the title parenthetically, but in the opening of that song, he says, Jackie Wilson said it was Reet Petite. Well, in 1958, Jackie Wilson had a hit song called Reet Petite.
Huh.
And so what I always do, every time I play that, I always play Reet Petite and I follow it right up with Jackie Wilson Said by Van Morrison. I'm in heaven. That song.
Yes.
Jackie Wilson said, I'm in heaven when you smile.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure you're familiar with that one.
I got to tell you this, John, before I forget what I'm saying. When I interned at KISS 108,
yeah,
it was at the same time as WKRP was on. And I noticed that each character in WKRP represented somebody that I could find in that real station. Like Bailey, and especially the Johnny Fever. There was a guy, his name was, now I'm really putting myself on the spot here. I can't remember his name, but he was a DJ like Johnny Fever, very irreverent. And I'm this naive kid, and I would sit with him. I worked in the news department, and I would sit with him during his shift, and he would be, doing the disc. Sometimes he would like to shock me by, he'll say something inappropriate, but the pot will be down. No one could hear it but me. But I would freak, and at least the first 2 times, I would freak and think that he went out over the air and he's going to get fired. And I remember Roger Nelson was his name. Roger Nelson.
Okay, yeah.
And it was on KISS AM. There was an AM and an FM. So
right.
He was frustrated, like Johnny Fever was, because he had to do the oldies and he wasn't really into them. You should have been there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just so funny. So he'd be talking to me. We'd be talking while he's playing a Frank Sinatra song. He'd be talking about rock and roll. It was just such parallels to that TV show. And the salesman, Herb Tarlick, on the show. I had a friend named Mike. I won't say his last name because he might be listening, but he was Herb Tarlick. He was just unintentionally funny. And he would come out with these things. And it was just like, I'm living in bizarro world. This is all coming back to me right now. It's just so funny, all these counterparts. But
did you characterize yourself as Les Nessman?
I hope not, man.
I wouldn't go with that.
I'm going to tell you what I observed, though, because I love to observe things. Les Nessman, if you think of it. Now, WKRP, this is a podcast, so I could say this. WKRP sounds like crap. Because it was a crap station. That was the joke. The joke for Les Nessman was less of a man. He was less of a man. He had the bandage every week. 1 week it was on his finger, on his forehead. Every time you saw him, and he was like this wimpy guy. It's just, I love things like that when they plant them in a show or a movie or a book. This is intentional, this stuff. And Absolutely. If you watch it closely enough, you're going to get it and have a little chuckle,
Exactly. Oh, that's.
You just really, your instincts are on the mark because you just brought me back to that internship. Yeah. Guess who was my supervisor, John?
Where?
At KISS 108.
One
of my supervisors. Well, there was Sonny Joe White, who everybody knows.
Yeah.
Arnie Woo Woo Ginsburg.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Arnie Woo Woo Ginsburg. So, and I remember him from when I was a baby.
Oh yeah.
My father would have the clock radio wake him up with Arnie Woo Woo Ginsburg. I would hear it in my room. And I was so psyched the first day. And then I learned that he was not the same type. He was a showman for the show. he was acting. He wasn't this zany, crazy, off the wall entertainer in real life. He was a
Right.
serious guy, and he was my boss, and he didn't like interns. So it was kind of funny. But you just brought me back to my days of radio. They used to let the interns, myself and two other guys, we used to play in the studio and record skits and stuff like that in really high quality audio and I have some of those copies of those.
Oh,
So
nice.
thank you, John, for see, you have it unconsciously. You don't have to plan these things. You can transport people back like you just did with me.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. I'm glad. I guess it's some sort of a gift. One of the responses I got one time was from an old friend, and she called me up right after I had done the show. She told me I had her crying at her desk. I played a song that really struck a chord with her, and she started bawling her eyes out. Her boss was like, "Are you okay?"
It's funny, we attach ourselves, or they get attached to us, these memories
Yeah,
that transport. I guess it's a frame of reference. It's a way of remembering loved ones and stuff from the past, and it's very valuable, all this music.
absolutely. It really is, and I'm so happy that the younger folks really liked it. That I mean, the kids would, they used to monitor us when we were in the studio. They were in an office, and every once in a while they'd turn the station on just to hear if we're okay. And the times I spent there, I used to tell the kids, every once in a while, did you check on me? And they were like, to a man, they would all say, "Oh, we listen to you all the way through. We don't want to miss it." And
Wow.
you feel really, it used to make me feel relevant, Len.
Oh yeah, of course.
Old, but it made me feel relevant.
It's great.
I didn't know who Matchbox 20 is, but they liked my music. But I was
Every once in a while, no matter how confident you might be in what you do, you need to be validated once in a while.
so true.
And this stuff here, I would like to have more of an audience myself on this. Sometimes it
absolutely.
depends who's listening or how much it's shared. I haven't really mastered the algorithm thing yet on the internet on how to gather, because people who watch this show, you can find your favorite thing, like a luthier, somebody who builds guitars, a classical musician, two stand-up comedians. I can't name them all because I'm not going to strain my memory that way, but that's what I'm hoping, that when people see the show list, people are going to find what they want to do. Now I'm going to ask you my famed last question that I asked to everybody on the show. What would you suggest to someone out there that thinks that they might want to go into radio?
I would say maybe not pigeonhole it this into radio, but anything.
Sure.
Don't be afraid to leave that comfort zone. Or I guess you hear so many memes on Facebook and places like that, social media. They say you don't really lose, until you quit or something like that. But
Right.
those type of things are true. You never know what you can do until you really get into it. And
Right.
and as far as radio is concerned, from what I'm understanding, it's not the big payday that it once was. A lot of the on-air talent, have been let go in a lot of places, but everything evolves, and as a result, new ways of going about things. Just the fact that we're talking on a podcast is a new thing.
Exactly.
So, I mean, if that's your heart desire, whether it's radio, television, being a baseball player, driving a bus, driving a train, whatever, just, don't be afraid to give it a try, because you never know what you can do until you try. And you will surprise yourself. I can guarantee you that.
Eloquently put, John. I couldn't say it better myself.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you very much for coming on. And next time we'll have you on again. If we go into our second year, I'm still deciding whether I want to do a second year or not, but you're definitely going to be one of the guests again.
Oh, I would love that. I hope I didn't talk too much. I
No,
need to do that.
you're a dream guest, John. You are very good.
Uh,
So
This was a lot of fun, and I hope somebody picks up on it and it can influence somebody somewhere along the way to say, hey, I was going to do this. I keep talking myself out of it, but I'm going to give it a try. Maybe that would be great. That would be great to hear.
thanks to John Luciano for coming on to What Do You Want to Do? Join me again next time for another guest. And until then, what do you want to do?